Hi guys, Nothing Fancy here again with another knife review. This time I'll be talking about the Spyderco Bird Raven knife. This is a sub-branded knife, and by that I mean this is a knife produced under the direction and design of Spyderco, but not in the United States. It's produced offshore, namely in China, to get it to a lower price point, but not necessarily at a lower quality level, and that's what we're going to talk about. First off, I'll show you the packaging on the Bird Raven real quick. Nothing special, kind of a box with a blister card inside, gives us specs on the front. Nice cool story on the back of what they're trying to do with the Bird brand. And then talks about the 1 year, not lifetime warranty on this knife, which is interesting. Anyways, not too much packaging. I'm totally cool with that. When it comes to packaging, less is more in my opinion. So back to the knife. This is a lightweight utility knife with a secondary tactical purpose, I would say. Tactical being self-defense, which I'm all for. Knives can serve quite admirably in that role if you need them to. My overall impression, and probably yours will be too when you take it out of the box, is you're getting a lot of knife for the money. This is a $20 to $25 knife. And yet when you take it out of the box, you're going to think otherwise. You're going to think you're holding maybe a $60 knife. That's my impression of this. Deploys nice and fast with a solid lockup. No side-to-side movement. No up and down movement, at least on mine that came out of the box. Gives a lot of options. You can have the black plain edge finish like I have here. You can go serrated, partially serrated, and satin finished. I think those are also options in the Bird line. But this is the Raven model again, and the one that I was most drawn to. As part of the Bird theme, they have kind of the funky hole. I guess that's supposed to mimic the eye of an eagle or something, and which is okay. It works fine. I do prefer the single circular hole given on a Spyderco design, but this works just fine. Also, along with the Bird theme, which you may like, may not, I don't really care, is it has kind of the feather design on the sides of the Zytel scales, which are attached to stainless steel liners. I don't mind it, except for one reason, or one drawback I should say, and that is they don't give a great purchase on the side. That's not a great grip material, that feather. So kind of a hit for that. I would like to have a really nice, not sticky, but purposeful design that I can lock into and hold it, and especially if I get wet with blood or sweat or water, I'm not going to be slipping all over the place. But on the upside, the blade makes up for that, and that's because they have some really good jimping on the top here that's nice and precisely cut, and on the bottom where you can lock your thumb and forefinger on that blade and really control your cut, so it almost makes up for the slick-sided scales because you have such great jimping on the blade. Good job, Spyderco. I really don't know too much about the blade steel. I guess it's called 8CR 13 MOV. It's a chrome moly stainless steel. I have read about it a little bit. It sounds like an AUS 8 steel, so kind of a medium quality, medium hard stainless steel, made in China. I think it'll serve our purposes fine for what this knife is designed to do. I have messed with it a little bit trying to put an edge on it. I'm not a great knife sharpener, but I was able to put a fairly good edge on it. So I'm pretty pleased with it so far. Again, I haven't used it in any hard situations yet. Great blade shape, inherited from its Spyderco cousins. I love Spyderco blade shapes. They're just awesome. Downside on this is it's a liner lock. Not that the liner locks are bad, but the way they executed this one is it had some really sharp edges on here that ripped my skin off as I actuated it. Really bad actually. It kind of just grabbed my skin and ripped it. So what I do, I took the whole knife apart using the Torx bit. Got access to that liner portion, used some 400 grit sandpaper on the outside, inside, carefully radiused all those edges, smoothed it out a lot, blew it out with compressed air, reassembled it, lubricated it, and what do you know, it works fine now. Doesn't grab my skin anymore. You might have to do that with yours. You may not care. I don't know. I'm pretty anal with my knives, so I want them friggin' perfect. It's got two Teflon washers in there, and again, the deployment speed on this is nice and fast. Fast as Spyderco, any other Spyderco I've had. And again, that liner lock does deviate from its cousins, which I'll show here in a second, the Spydercos. I don't really have a big issue with it. If given a choice, I'd probably like the lock back on a regular Spyderco, but this is fine. This is a flow-through design, which I mentioned in a couple other my videos with different knives, which allows supposedly mud, blood, guts, whatever you got going there, to be shaken out, blown out of your knife. Don't kid yourself though. If you're in that type of situation, you got a lot of mud on your knife, it's going to get in the pivot point. You're going to have to take the whole knife apart, clean it out with hot water, really hot water, compressed air, re-lubricate it after it's dried, put it back together, unless you want a gritty deployment, which I totally hate. Anyways, I like it smooth and fast, otherwise I don't want it. Pocket clip is decent. I like it. It's just like all pocket clips, they mount it too freaking low on the handle. I hate that. That thing should be up here, and they should redesign that handle to accommodate it, just like the SOG pocket clip, which I've talked about at length. But this is not a bad pocket clip. It's strong, it's blackened, has a nice radius right here where it'll get on your pocket without ripping it up, and Spyderco is smart enough to make a smooth surface underneath the pocket clip so it doesn't wear out the fabric of your pocket. Kind of unlike some cold steel designs, which I'll talk about in some future videos. There is a couple downsides to this knife, and to be honest, let's talk about them. First off is the weight. Because they went with a stainless steel scale knife, and they put Zytel on the outside of it instead of a 100% Zytel handle, it kind of is hefty. 3.8 ounces. And I know a lot of you guys watching this like, 3.8 ounces, that's light. And I guess it is, but I take everything as a system. Again, we're not just carrying this knife. We've got a lot of other things. We might be carrying our Glock 17 with us, 4 clips, maybe your concealed carry weapon, maybe some other non-lethal devices if you needed, car keys, change, cell phone, iPod, J-Pod, K-Pod, whatever you got. We ain't just carrying knives. So 3.8 ounces in this category of knife I think is relatively heavy. Speaking of which, let's compare it against its cousin. This is a Spyderco Delica. Yes, out of my own collection. I'm a sick man. I got lots of knives. Oh, but how I love them so. I love this Spyderco Delica. It's one of my all-time favorite lightweight utility knives, secondary tactical knife. Let's compare these two size-wise. As you can see, the Bird is actually a larger version of the Delica. It's the same type of proportions, they just enlarged it somewhat. Bigger blade, bigger hole, bigger handle, and how you doing? It's heavier. The Delica, and this is a Delica 4 by the way, is a great knife, has VG10 steel, great jimping on the top. No jimping on the bottom, oddly enough, unlike the Bird where it had it right here. But it's so light and portable. You just love this knife. Even after putting steel scales in the Delica, or I'm sorry, steel inserts in the Zytel handle, the Delica 4 was not ruined. Actually, I think the Endura 4 was by the addition of those steel inserts, because it just made it so flippin' heavy. But the Delica remains a wonderful knife, outstanding in my opinion, one of the all-time best. Reversible pocket clip. By the way, the Bird does have that too. Great idea. You can actually carry it tip up, tip down, whatever you like. Again, as I mentioned in all my videos, as a right-hander, I prefer that tip up carry. I'm a right-hander. It's just faster to deploy the knife that way. The Delica weighs 2.4 ounces, 1.6 ounces less than the Bird. It's a steel reinforced Zytel handle, and the handle itself has some really good jimping. I shouldn't say jimping. How about molding on the side where you can actually get a purchase on it? And again, the jimping on the top is excellent. Wish it had it on the bottom like the Raven, but still not too bad. The grind is a little bit different between the two knives. This has kind of a higher grind, which I like. This has a more of a mid-spine grind, but still excellent. VG10 steel I've been very pleased with. But this is a more expensive knife. Twice the price of a Bird Raven. Excellent knife, and for what it costs, this is an excellent knife too. So in summary, Bird Raven, for the money you're getting, is an outstanding knife. It's got good steel, good handle, interesting design, fast deployment speed, quality construction, solid lockup, good clip, flow-through design. You're not going to beat it for $20 to $25. Buy it. Out.